and our attorney, Hayward, got his work cut out for him tonight, and the other volunteers on the board. We normally have a board of 7. Tonight we've got 5. So I guess you can have an option of continuing if you want. Isn't that true, Hayward?
Yeah, this is because of the rules for that make up this board. Any decision by the board to take action would need a unanimous vote of 4. So in this instance, if we wait for Mr. Dixon, it'll be a 5-member board. If we proceed forward with any of the cases with just 4, then it will need to be a unanimous vote to carry any type of motion. So what that means is if there's a motion to uphold a permit, it cannot be 3-1. You know, it would be a motion to overturn the staff's decision. It would have to be 4-0 to overturn staff's decision. It could not be a 3-1. It's not a majority. It would have to be 4. So with that being said, we oftentimes, at the beginning, allow the applicants the opportunity, since we do not have a full board tonight, the option to request a continuance. Tonight, what you'll have is a board of 5.
Hopefully.
What we're hoping to do is maybe give Mr. Dixon a little more time. However, if any of the parties wish to go with just the 4-person board, we can do that.
I think we'll go ahead and get a few things.
Yeah,
out
we
of
can
the
do
way,
some
and then
preliminary
give us
stuff
some
while you
time.
think about it.
Think about it. Karen, can you text him and see if he got an estimate of when he'll get here? You have it?
Don't have his cell.
Okay. If you would stand, we're going to have the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Charlie.
Dear Lord, thank you for the opportunity to come here tonight to try to better our county here. And thank you, Lord, for all the gifts you've given this county and this nation and all of us here tonight. We hope you guide our decisions here tonight to help us to get the best decision that we can come to for all of our residents and all of our county. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. With that being said, we're going to call this meeting to order. Again, we're relying on Mr. Hayward here to keep us straight. I guess the first person up is Matt Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We do have one announcement. We have a request to continue item number 3 on our agenda tonight.
Hold on.
And that request is to continue that to the December 13 Zoning Board of Adjustments meeting at 6 p.m. in this location.
We need to have a motion to approve that, don't we, Hayward?
Yes, sir.
I have a motion.
I have a motion to continue the
Second. All right. All in favor? Aye. All right.
And our first case tonight is the Winston Lane variance. This was continued from the September 28th Zoning Board of Adjustments meeting. This is a variance application submitted by Dunlap and Shipman on behalf of Mr. and Mrs. John Norton and Mr. and Mrs. Eric Shack, requesting approval to reduce the side setbacks from 7.5 feet to 5 feet on approximately 0.149 acres with a future land use and neighborhood infill located at 115 Winston Lane and identified by the parcel number in our agenda.
We are going to ask that this be continued.
Okay. I have a motion or a request to continue this until the next meeting.
I have a
That'd be the
motion.
November 15th. Is that?
That would be December 13th.
We're not having a November meeting? Or do we not?
Actually, yes, we are having a November.
I believe November 15th.
15 November.
Yeah, the Haddad variance.
So Wednesday.
Yeah, our first one was a specific request to the December meeting to work out some technical details. November meeting is, you may have to help me.
It's the
November 15th.
But the other one, not today.
But we're continuing this, so that won't matter.
Yeah, we won't need another one.
That would be a request to continue to November 15th, 6 PM at this location.
Okay, can I have a motion?
To continue to the November meeting.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Got your continuance.
Thank you.
Sorry you had to go to this trouble.
So, just so we're clear, anybody that's here for that particular Winston Lane variance, there will not be another notice that goes out, but you're being told at this time on November 15th at 6 PM that this matter will be set to be heard.
6 PM.
6 PM, yes.
6 PM. Well, Mr. Chairman, that brings us to item number 2, the Haddad variance. This is a request to continue to the November 15th ZBA meeting also.
Motion to continue to the November 15 meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. All right.
And then this brings us to item number 4, the Strand Minor Development Order Appeal. Mitchell Brothers and Edward M. Mitchell are appealing the final development order for the Kaya PED, the Strand, which is project number 17-001-00089, suggesting unspecified errors were made in the approval by the county.
Thank you. I guess at this point, Hayward, do you want to swear in the?
Yeah, I guess we would need to ask if the applicant
Yeah.
wishes to proceed forward with just the 4 board members with potentially a 5th member joining, or if you'd like to seek a continuance.
Mr. Chairman, I'm Bob Apgar for Eddie Mitchell and Mitchell Brothers, the appellant, I guess, this evening. We're not willing to go to hearing with 4 board members. We're willing to wait a few minutes to see if the 5th member shows up. We can go ahead and get set up and take a break for a few minutes.
Okay,
but
sure.
Okay, so you're willing to go ahead if we can get five board members?
If we can get 5 board members.
All right, sir.
So we just
All right, let's-
recess for.
Let's just take a
Maybe
recess,
15 minutes.
see if we can get a hold of him and see if we can get a timeline. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We need to approve the minutes.
Well,
Are we supposed to approve the minutes?
We can do that.
we can do it when we get back from recess.
Shouldn't do it on recess, I guess.
Joe likes to kick that to the end.
Yeah.
Hold on one second. Quick meeting.
This meeting is reconvened. We've got a request to postpone this last item. You're not changing your mind again.
No, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to say on the record that we've reconsidered and decided that we want to be continued to the next meeting in hopes of having a full board.
Okay. Do I have a motion to continue?
Motion to continue to the next meeting.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 John?
Aye.
Okay, motion is approved.
And if I understand correctly, that's November 15.
Correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Correct.
Mr. Chairman, good evening, David Theriak, representing the property owner. What steps do you think that we can do to ensure that we have a full quorum or full set on November 15th?
Excellent question. I'm going to bring that up. We're going to discuss that because we got to, I mean, you guys go to a lot of trouble to come to these meetings, and we need a better way of letting you know if we're going to have, how many members we're going to have, and let you make that decision prior to getting here. I apologize.
Not your fault. There's just been we believe delay has been part of the goal. There's lawsuits that filed against my client's project. Bumping this another month is consistent with that, and we would prefer not to have repeated lack of 7 members being used to continue to bump this. So I appreciate any help that you could do there, sir.
I apologize.
Thank you, sir.
Mac, can we have a discussion about this
And
issue?
one thing to be clear, we normally do have 7. I think we're down 1 permanent member, so even if we have a full board, it'll just be the 6. Just,
Unless we can get another one appointed.
yeah,
before
unless
then.
another one gets appointed in between now and then, there will only be 6 members.
If there's only 6, if I may, Mr. Chairman, what is your process going to be if the individual who filed the appeal says, I want 7? And if there's only 6, are we going to be stuck in limbo until 7 gets appointed?
I don't know. We've never had that situation come up.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know why we don't have the 7th, to be honest with you. That we've known for a while that Scott had resigned. So I think maybe Matt can shed some light on that.
We do have a candidate. We will try to get them approved at the November 7th BCC meeting.
Is that an at-large or is that in whose district is that?
I think it's in District 4.
Be Commander Scott was under.
No, 4 is Nipper, isn't it?
No, it's Commissioner Commander.
Oh, it is? Okay, okay.
so we do have a candidate, and you're hoping to have them up at the November, or the first meeting in November?
How do we speed that process, or can we, Mac?
Well, the board has to appoint them, and that's the next available board meeting.
Okay.
We do have a candidate ready to go, though.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. Well, that would resolve that issue.
Yes.
But this business of notifying the applicants in time to, I mean, when do we put out a notice that we have a meeting and and find out how many board members can attend?
Usually a week before the meeting is when I email or call you guys to find out. I don't always hear from everybody, so sometimes I don't know until I know.
Well, I think we need to stress with the board, guys, if we get a request, or can you be here, we need a yes or no. We need it, I'd say a week in advance is adequate to let us know, and we can then let the applicants know.
And I know in the past that once we knew that there was not going to be a full board, we would especially if they were represented, let their attorneys know so they could make that decision before they got here.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Frankly,
I
I'm
know that-
embarrassed.
yeah, I understand.
All right, thanks, Mac. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
You bet. With that, I guess we need well, let me try this and see if Hayward will go along with it.
What's that?
Has everyone read the minutes, and are there any corrections or additions to those minutes? If not, the minutes are approved. How's that, Hayward?
It's fine by me. Bill is testing out the idea of not having to vote to approve minutes.
Well, Joe's gone. I went to a meeting earlier this year where a parliamentarian for the Robert's Rules of Orders, he said, you don't need a motion for either minutes or financials.
Yeah,
He said-
usually they're
Yeah, he
there
said
for
has everybody
consumption,
reviewed
and then
them?
we
Are
move
there
on.
any questions or any corrections? If not, they're approved. So anyway.
Yeah, I don't know that Joe will sign off.
Yeah, I don't either. See, I think I talked to him about it. Yeah.
And then, so we've got the minutes approval. Is there anything else that we have? I can tell you as far as litigation goes, there's no real new updates. One of the appeals, opposing counsel had filed a motion to ask the court to have oral argument on the appeal, which we've said we did not agree to. We thought it had been briefed and just let the judge make the decision. They filed a motion. The court hasn't set a date or anything yet, but everything's pretty much the way it was last month when I reported. It's still up in front of the judge, and we're waiting on him to give him some time and make a decision.
My thoughts on whether they can continue or not, I thought at like 4 or 5 we give them the option, and at like a certain point we don't give them.
Yeah, and that's why I think we do a motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think for the board, I mean, as you said, if everybody's here,
Yeah.
and I think we kind of give them that luxury. But if everybody's here and the board's
I mean,
ready,
if you're just one short.
correct. And I think that's why we have a motion to make sure that the board is in agreement with it. That
Do
it's
we
not,
have the right to say no, your motion, we deny?
Yeah,
the
I think you
request,
do. Yeah, I think you do.
You gotta present.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's scheduled, it's set for the day, so if someone doesn't show up,
Yeah.
and then they call in and say, hey,
I would think if you had like 6 members, that would be enough to say, look, you need to go if you're going to go.
well, and I think that's a decision the board needs to make, with the understanding of how our rules are set up, that it takes 4 to take any official action.
Right.
So I know the times that it's come up most is when we've been at 4,
Right.
or we've been at 5, so, when you have that situation, especially for the appellant or the applicant
No,
who's,
it would
who's
be
trying to
serious,
appeal,
The more votes.
there's
you
no
get-
there's no room for deviation. They got to carry all 4 votes.
Yeah.
So, but that's why I believe I have the board, because if you want to bring that up as a concern, like you did, and say, hey, look, we got 6, you're not going to get 7, everybody's here, I'm not going to agree to a continuance.
Well, I think if we advise people, the applicants in advance, that's a non-issue. I mean,
Yeah.
If they show up after they've been advised.
Well, but I think what they would do is they would want to show up to make sure it was continued, unless we told them in advance that, don't bother showing up, we'll continue it.
See,
Which we've done that in the past. Staff has said, look, don't bother, especially if the attorney's from Tallahassee or something, they may say, look, we'll let the board know. And it has been a situation where we barely have the quorum of 4, and I've never seen an instance where the board has turned their nose up at that. I think the board would be, cognizant of the fact, hey, look, this person's just delaying because they want one extra
Yeah.
warm body up there.
Yeah.
Well, they made a good point that it's obviously a tactic that they're wanting to use against the
Well,
developers.
It could be, and I've
So what if we were to say next month, if we just say, sorry, you guys gotta go?
Well, again, if we give them advance notice of how many folks are gonna be here,
Yeah, but see, the advance notice doesn't help. I mean, like, if there's only 5 people next time, then the party who can't continue has no say in whether or not there's like he can say, like the person bringing the continuance, wanting the continuance, can keep saying, I want a continuance, I want a continuance, I
But
want a
we can
continuance.
always say no.
Yeah.
The way that works is, once we know it's up to y'all to grant continuance.
right that
Okay.
Sometimes it's public.
yeah. I mean, unless
but I
they're
don't have a problem with that as long as we
Which deals
get.
with there could be torches and pitchforks in the audience, so I don't want to report tonight. That's completely up to y'all.
Good.
But and we've had that situation earlier this year where we had the one for the apartments right across the road where it kept getting continued, and I advised the board, listen, you can put your foot down and basically say, look, this is it, because it was the appellant, the person who was asking for the appeal, and the other side was saying, look, we want to, we're kind of in a holding pattern until this gets resolved, and I think we continued it 3 or 4 times, and finally we just said, look, this is your date. You better be ready. If you're not ready, then you do so at your own risk. And then, but fortunately, when we did that next month, they came in and they had settled the matter. So,
And that's what's going on here. I mean, they're in mediation.
Well, Matt, do you know,
They expected to get here tonight.
this first issue, the last meeting, they were supposed to all get together and see if they could hash it out. This looks like an identical variance request to the first one, isn't it?
no, it's just a carryover from last month. So,
They're appealing the issuance of the minor development order on the Strand, which is the south piece, that's the beach club.
are you talking about Strand or were you talking about Winston?
Oh,
Yeah. And be careful. I mean, obviously these matters are going to come back up next month, so we don't need to get into any facts or anything.
The only time we really let the applicants know about the short numbers is when there is 4. Because they do have to have all 4 votes.
Right.
I don't think we've ever let them know.
Well, I know that Joe, even if we have 5, he'll make the announcement that, hey, look, we have 5.
At me.
Yeah, at the meeting, and then give them the opportunity to request it. And then again, it's up to the board to decide, yes, we're going
In my
to.
mind, if we've given them notice of how many are gonna attend, and that many is here, how many board members are here, we're not gonna let them continue.
Well, and like I said,
They might.
that would be a good point to bring up at the time. Now they may have another reason for asking for the continuance, and that's why I say,
I guess, yeah. there could be a situation somebody
make it a
could
case
say,
by case basis, and the board can make that decision at the
A lot
time.
of games.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
And sometimes this is a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
A
agree.
lot of times they both
Not in here, but out there.
agree to the continuance. I mean, like last time they both agreed to go back, try to work it out.
Yeah. Well, I'm worried, but we had 4 on the agenda. We all came in.
Got
They're
9
going
now.
to- well, eventually, we're gonna end up with 12 one night, and we'll
No,
be here till.
We can limit it.
Right.
Nice idea. At present, this board has 7 appointed members. We do have a couple of other boards that have alternate members, like the code board has an alternate member, that if in the event we're gonna be short, we call them the alternate member.
That's a thought. We gotta get the BCC to,
Yeah, we'll have to amend the land development code, but
which other boards has the alternate?
I know the code.
Code board usually does. Does the LPA?
Convention get an alternate now?
Well, they call that barn, same thing.
Why did they do that just for that one board, Matt?
It was probably done to deal with a specific circumstance at one point in time. I don't know.
How many aldermans do they have?
There's one. And it's that, I'm not sure exactly when that was created, but I know it was before 2007.
And the thing with the alternate, I represent a lot of boards, and some will have alternates and some won't. But if you're the alternate and you show up and then you're told, "Hey, we don't need you," then it becomes one of those where nobody really likes it. But if you have the notice and somebody has, hey, you can pick up the phone and say, "Hey, we're going to need you tonight." But that's kind of one of the drawbacks of being the alternate. Now, some places, and I'm not saying it would be appropriate necessarily for this board, they'll have the alternate there. They can participate in the discussion, but they don't get to vote on anything. So, but that gives you, another person who will be here helping out with things. So it gives them a reason to at least show up.
I really just want to stress us all getting back to Karen as quickly as we can. Do you just email or do you text too?
I text, and if I don't hear back, I try to call you guys.
I think you do a good job of trying to get a hold of her. We just need to make sure we all respond.
I know you guys had asked at one point that I text you, but I don't have a county phone to do that, so don't know unless I can get an app.
We can get that, I couldn't do it from keyboard.
Really?
Does Mac have a county phone? We'll just make Mac in charge of texting everything.
Well, county phone's supposed to be outgoing calls.
Well, these will be out. These will.
A few outgoing calls, as I'm driving down the road, and all of a sudden, now that's my main number.
All right, well, I guess we don't have any more business. I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank y'all for coming.
Luckily, you had 4 to say they would have checked.
It's good to see you.
I'm not even gonna take
I flew
this up
past your
now.
house.
Need all that. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I apologize about that.
Take it all out.
We got, we were headed in, we just got